Hello and welcome to our very first recording of Coffee with a Counselor. My name is Chrissy. I own Cristina Panaccione and Associates Counseling Group down here in the South Hills, and this is Mary Brodland. She is a licensed clinical social worker and she works at the practice with us. We decided to take a break from our grueling schedules and get a cup of coffee down here at Blue Canary Coffee House at 300 Mount Lebanon Boulevard. And we're going to talk to you about some things that we feel is a need for our client base to know about. Questions that you have already asked us or questions that we think you might be wondering about. So Mary, tell me a little bit about your favorite kinds of clients to work with.
Well, I'm going to stick with one type because there's a lot, okay. but one that I really love, or one like cohort of individuals that I really love to work with are the geriatric population. And when I say that, oftentimes there's a negative connotation with geriatrics. All I'm saying with that is people usually over the age of 50 who are wise and have been through life, so they have a lot to teach people and a lot for me to learn from them. So they're one of my favorite groups of individuals to work with.
Awesome.
One of the reasons, if you want to know, one of the reasons why I love the geriatric population is because when I was a younger individual myself, my best friends were my grandparents.
Yeah.
So I've always connected with older adults, and I've always had kind of felt like I had a kindred spirit with the older population.
Yeah.
I'm just comfortable. I like to take my time and be patient with people. I guess that's a skill that I have, so I enjoy employing that with the older adult population. I feel like too, older adults are almost like history books.
Yeah.
They're history books that we all have access to, and sometimes we don't think about. But they're invaluable.
Yeah.
And once they're gone, that piece of history is gone with them. So I think in American society, they're undervalued, but they have a lot to offer. So that's just a little bit of why I love working with older adults.
And it's very evident. That comes through just in how you were talking about right now. And that's probably what I think is one of your biggest strengths, is that you have just such empathy and you really strive to connect with that person individually with all their strengths. So, you're welcome. So what are some issues that age range runs into that you think is something we should talk about?
Well, I think something that's a real big topic right now, and it's been for the last couple of years, but in the older adult population, is caregiver stress, caregiver burnout, which is a little bit different, as well as being cared for, which I don't think gets as much attention as caregiver burnout and caregiving itself.
Could you start with that and explain that a little bit more?
Being cared for?
Yeah.
So we all, or most people have heard about caregiving and caregiving stress, caregiving burnout. What we don't think about is the person who's being cared for, their feelings, what they might be going through.
Right.
And of course, as a caregiver, there's a lot of stress. There can be depression. There's a change in lifestyle. There's a transition. But what do you think the person being cared for is going through?
Right.
Almost the same thing in different ways,
Right.
but the same transition, the same type of lifestyle change. And I think we can't forget about that. Specifically with older adults, a couple general phrases I've heard from people who have started to care for their mother or their father is, oh yeah, she's annoyed because she has to live with me now, but she'll get over it.
Yeah.
Or, oh, he's just become a crotchety old man.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, and but he'll get over it, or this is just how he is. What they're not thinking about is, for a second, like, put yourself 60 years from now. You've worked your whole life, or you've raised children, you've done your life, you're at your peak, something happens, all of a sudden you become someone who needs help. You've raised your children, you've maybe even cared for your parents, you've cared for other people, all of a sudden now you need to ask for help. You might have to move out of your home, or allow people people to come into your home that you've never had to allow people in your home before. Even to help you do things that have always been private, like going to the bathroom, taking a shower. That can be really devastating to someone's opinion or even thoughts of themselves, confidence-wise, just their idea of who they are, who they become. It often starts, a lot of people, they start doing their life review at that time, because it's like, whoa, this is not where I saw my life going to, and here I am today.
Right.
So
I'm sure there's a lot of fear surrounding that.
Fear, anger.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they feel guilty that they need help, or that they need to ask, or they won't ask their children.
Right.
Or they're upset that their children have to, help them. So even just saying, let's say your dad says, no, I don't want to move in with you. I can do this. I might have macular degeneration and be going blind, but I can do this on my own. I might have fallen 3 times. Stay away. Instead of reacting with, oh gosh, Dad, come on. How about, wow, that would really suck, Dad.
Yeah. Losing your independence.
Because it would.
Yeah,
it would suck.
Absolutely.
Who wants to go through that and hear, get over it?
Right. Right.
They're actually going through a grief process. Bereavement is the process of grieving for someone who has passed on. Grief deals with any kind of loss. Yeah. So this is definitely a situation where they're grieving. They're grieving their life, their lifestyle, things that they can't do anymore. There's so much. Right. Physical, mental, whatever.
Right.
Even people who unfortunately get diagnosed with some type of dementia,
right.
Alzheimer's being the most common one. In the beginning, what do you think they're doing? They're grieving the loss of themselves, because in the beginning they know what's going on.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking.
Oh my gosh, one of the hardest things I feel anyone can go through.
Yeah. What are some things that therapy can offer people in these situations?
Definitely a ton of things, but I'll start with, I'll try to narrow it down. For example, with the caregiving situation, for the caregiver, sometimes caregiving comes up as a gradual transition into caregiving. Sometimes it happens split second. Major situation happens and all of a sudden we have to get caregiving together. Either way, it can be a very overwhelming process to try to organize and set up a functioning or a functional caregiving situation. Sometimes you just need that time and that person to help you create that organized action plan, basically.
Right.
Because if you're the main caregiver and you're thrown with all this stuff, you get tired, you get stressed, and it can sometimes feel like I don't even have time to think about. I'm just surviving.
Right.
Survival mode. So counseling, therapy can definitely do that. But also, research shows that almost 70% of caregivers have clinically significant depression.
Yes.
But most of those people don't get help for many reasons, but the biggest reasons are normally not feeling like they have the time, or being so exhausted that they don't. They're like, schedule a counseling.
Right.
I can't even do the stuff that I have to do.
Right.
Oh, like that feeling is just so debilitating. And there's lots more I can say about that. But one of the things that I want to put out, here for people listening and just the community in general, is that if you're caregiving, you need to take that time, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in those situations feel guilt in taking time for themselves, or shame, or or like it's not appropriate, a lot of different things. And I want to say, yeah, you need to.
Yes.
If you're not well yourself, just like everyone says, you can't take care of someone else.
Yeah.
Also, people in caregiving situations are more likely to experience a lowered immune system. And if there's high caregiver stress, it can be up to 3 years after that person you cared for passed away that your immune system is still compromised.
Wow.
3 years.
So caregiving, it's not just here and now kind of thing. That's
No.
really what you think about when you hear about it.
It's ongoing, and it affects different parts of your life, work. A lot of caregivers end up going down to part-time or retiring early or taking, family leave. Because there's not the same understanding for older adult care, especially.
Right.
That people need that help. Yeah, so on the other side of things, for the person being cared for, like I said earlier, we often forget about that person and what they're going through and how they could benefit from therapy. Again, like I mentioned, the caregiver or someone around in the family might look at them and say, you know what, they've just become a crotchety old man, or they're just angry, they'll get over it. When what they're really showing you is depression, anxiety can come out after a life transition. And it's often not, depression and anxiety are often missed in these situations because it's just looked at as aging. And also, they come out in different ways. That could be a whole different segment. But, talking about depression and anxiety in older adults. Yes. And tune in next time for that segment. But it's really serious. It's very important to realize that, one of the ways that as a caregiver, you can actually get some time for yourself, but also help the one you're caring for is to get them connected with, whether it's individual therapy or even a support group.
Right.
And helping them take that step to get there, because oftentimes that's another struggle. It's that not wanting to say they need help or going to a therapist, because the cohort of individuals we're talking with, when they were younger, mental health is what they saw it as, and it was not, it was taboo and embarrassing.
Yes.
When in reality, getting help for that can make you it can make you again. And I think that's really important to look out for that group of individuals. They need help through this transition, and therapy can definitely do that. It can be that non-family member that can help get them through that transition, and then help them connect this part of their life to that part of their life.
Perfect.
Create their life story.
Perfect. So people go through a certain shift in their 50s to early 60s. What do you see happening there? What does it mean? What are they going through?
Oftentimes retirement, or there's lots of different transitions, but the big one that we see is that retirement. And it's something that most people don't think about, that retirement can be difficult, when it actually really can, because you're going from years of working, having a schedule, having certain people you see, having a purpose in life, very specific purpose that you do frequently, to what sounds awesome, complete freedom, all the time to yourself. You can do whatever you want. But often what ends up happening is after a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months of that, you can see actually people falling into depression. Right. And again, anxiety is a big one, depression is a huge one. Life review, okay, now what? Or if you retire and then something starts happening with your health because of a sedentary life, whatever, we see that as well. So it's something that not a lot of people know about, not a lot of people think about when preparing for retirement. but it is important to kind of prepare. So how can I better transition myself from this full-time job, this full-time purpose into retirement and maintain a sense of purpose,
Yes.
a sense of time, which often gets lost after retirement, and maintain my physical health, emotional health, my connection with friends, family. It's really something that needs to be prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that counseling therapy can definitely help you with, that transition. There's a lot of different ways to do that, a lot of methods that we can use, and oftentimes solution focused.
Yes.
And sometimes it's life review right then, even before retirement. It's kind of what I like to think of as like tying a bow at the end, but then letting the ribbon continue because there's still more,
Yeah.
you know, and seeing what we can do with that.
So what would be a time commitment for your solution-focused treatment?
Well, traditionally, I believe in solution focus, it's like 12 to 14 sessions.
Okay.
I personally, I like to use a myriad of therapy styles because I do not believe that one style fits all.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Right. Right.
So I do strongly believe in each session reviewing, okay, where are we now? Where do we want to go? And what do we want to do today?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, wrapping up and figuring out, okay, what's our next step? Going with that individual. So that's kind of what I believe in.
So if you or somebody that you know might be going through some of these situations that Mary's been talking about, we're here to help you. You can give us a call, 412-439-1416, or you can click over into our contact part and send us a little